My guy, TD, it's the best time of, well, one of the best times of year, the holidays, Christmas. It signifies an area in which you, for most of your life, have either been playing or coaching. And right now, you get to be a fan of the road to Jerry World. We're going to talk about that later. But I see you got in the reflection in the back. I see you and Elizabeth have your Christmas tree up. How did that go about? Did y'all go chop a tree down, or did you just pull it down from the attic there in Horseshoe Bay?
No, we pulled it down from the attic. Yeah, this is the fake kind. It's got fake snow on it and everything. But Elizabeth is that kind that she puts the Christmas tree up like before Thanksgiving. So it's been up a while. It's been up it's been up for a minute.
Oh my God. Well, if people are watching this for the first time, this is an idea that Coach Dodge and I came up with about a year ago. This is installment 3 of Inside the Fieldhouse with TD. And, he may be retired, but he's extremely busy. It's brought to you by our guy, Kevin Hutchison of Realty Austin. And even though the mortgage rates are up, the housing market is still quite active. And just give Hutch a call, Kevin Hutchison of Realty Austin, or search for him on Google. He's right there. He's got his SEO, as they like to call it. He'll be the first to appear if you just type in Kevin Hutchison of Realty Austin. Coach, I was at a football banquet, high school football banquet last night, and I've seen this for many years, dating back to even my high school days. There was a tribute to the seniors, and I noticed a lot of teary-eyed moms, and rightfully so. And it made me think that I would love to just hear the stories about your mom and the journey that she and the role she has played with you and your playing career, your coaching career. And this is your lovely mom. And I love this photo of the two of you right there. You're introducing her to the world of selfies. Mama Dodge selfie, that is.
Yeah.
That's pretty recent, isn't it?
That is, yeah. That's pretty recent.
Now, like my mom in my situation, made some tough decisions. She's in Houston, correct?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So when did she start to embrace the football life of a young Todd Dodge to who you are now?
My mother was always a huge sports fan from the time that I can remember. My grandfather, her father, was a 2-sport athlete at the University of Missouri.
Wow.
If you can imagine, he was a quarterback on the football team and catcher on the baseball team in like the mid to late 1920s. And he was my grandfather. Was my go-to guy, and then my mom, of course, because of that, and she was an athlete when she was in high school and everything like that. So from the very first, we lived in little bitty towns growing up.
Yeah.
I've told you before, my dad being a preacher and all that. We were, in Sharina, Texas. We were in Garrison, Texas. And then we moved, when I was like in 3rd grade, we moved to Big Houston, to the Spring Branch area. Yeah. And I started playing football when I was in 3rd grade, tackle football. And my mom took me to Barcelona Sporting Goods to get my first set of pads, my shoulder pads, my helmet, my pants, all that. And from that time on, she just absolutely loved it. She made sure that I was involved in everything that came around wherever we moved. My mom was, she was all in, and when they moved to Longview, when I was a sophomore in high school, they moved to Longview and I stayed in Port Arthur. My mom was an 8th grade math teacher there in the Longview ISD. And she would leave right after school. I think she had her last 8th period of the day was her conference period. The principal was nice enough to do that. And her and my dad would get in the car and take off to come to Port Arthur to watch me play. I mean, that's, East Texas, Longview to Port Arthur is just down the street. That's about 250 miles.
That's a road trip.
That is. And so every Friday night they were there, and then on into my college career, my high school coaching career. Mom has been at everything, and she is she is a math person. Her and my older sister Kim are both math teachers, and so my mom is one of those people. She would keep the stats for me when I was growing up, and she could tell me, like, right after the game, you were this for this many yards, and blah blah blah. And by the way, you threw 2 interceptions. Oh, thanks a lot, Mom. And then and then she did that for like for my quarterbacks anywhere I coached, even back when I was just a position coach or an offense coordinator. My quarterback, she'd always be able to tell me immediately after the game, what he threw for. she was always keeping up with it.
Oh, that's amazing. That's the ideal mom. And a big shout out to all of the moms, football moms. I mean, all sports, high school sports moms. It's a special time. And I know the tears that I saw, them all too well, because it's reality that for a lot of these young men, that's it for football. And they've been a big role, and it played a big role.
Yes.
And very few teams are playing right now as we made to the Final Four of the Texas high school football state playoffs. And you've played many weekends as a player and as a coach. And, your last program is trying to extend that significant win streak, as we are 1 weekend away from Jerry World, the state championship. These are the matchups which involve Austin area teams,
right,
in these classifications. Of course, Westlake and North Shore, that's kind of become a playoff rivalry, in my opinion.
No doubt. Third time we played. The two teams have accounted, I think, in the last 8 years, these two teams have accounted for 6 state championships.
Wow. God.
Let's see. North Shore has 3, and Westlake has 3. That's right. 6 out of 8. You go over to Prosper and Duncanville. Well, that's going to be a tough one for Prosper. Duncanville, we watched them walk in the stadium or walk to their locker room at halftime last year when playing against North Shore. Duncanville is, I mean, it literally clinched. There's no doubt it looks like a Division I football team.
Unbelievable.
Walking down the ramp. Geyer and DeSoto. I got Geyer up close and personal last week. Went to watch, and they probably I haven't watched all these teams play, but I can't imagine anybody playing any better on both sides of the ball than them right now. Their quarterback, Jackson Arnold, he is the number 1 quarterback in the state of Texas. A lot of people say that. I've now watched him play in person. Of course, I watched him play as a junior, and then all the way back when he was a freshman. But he is a grown ass man, and I mean, he's 6'2", probably weighs 220 pounds, and he is an equally effective runner and passer. DeSoto, obviously just tremendous speed. Katie and Vandegrift, I believe Katie's overall experience in big games will show out in that one. Good luck to Vandy, though. Argyle and South Oak Cliff. I think Argyle and South Oak Cliff can be kind of like South Oak Cliff playing against Lovejoy a few weeks ago. They just, no one in 5A up in the Dallas area, until you play South Oak Cliff, has played anybody else with that just blazing speed all over the field. So I think South Oak Cliff is probably on a back to the state championship. And then you got Port Neches Groves and Liberty Hill.
From your neck of the woods.
Yeah. I actually was involved in the off season on being a consultant and hiring the head coach at Port Neches Groves, Jeff Joseph,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so proud to say that that we were able to hire him, and he's in the semifinals now. So he'll have his hands full with Liberty Hill and the slot T, and then Glen Rose and Carthage. I'm just wondering. I was telling Elizabeth the other day, we go through Glen Rose probably every other week when we're going up to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's the way we go from Horseshoe Bay. And I don't know if any of you people that will be listening to this have gone through Glen Rose. They got some of the most beautiful facilities that you've seen. But I mean, they'll be tough duty with Carthage as experienced as they are. And then Cuero and Wimberley. I don't know. I mean, I'll just have to say both of them are tremendous experience in the playoffs. I thought it was interesting. Wimberley, lost their starting quarterback because the dad left to take a job at China Springs, and they're still in the playoffs.
That's right.
And I thought that the kid's name is Chance McCollum. He actually, I knew Chance, and his dad coached for me here at Westlake before he went to Wimberley. But I'm really proud for Wimberley and Coach Warren because, I mean, they lost probably the best 4A quarterback in the state of Texas right before training camp started. And then they just replaced him with someone else. I don't know who that someone else is. He obviously must be playing well because they're in the semifinals.
Yeah, Wimberley. Coach Warren is one of my favorite people as far as he's just watching him. He brings a level of consistency. And, Wimberley's not on the same growth pattern as the rest of the Austin area, but they still
good for them.
Yeah. And somehow, I mean, they have growth, but he finds players and develops guys.
Yeah.
Back to Jackson Arnold, that guy, I mean, he's going to be in Oklahoma sooner unless something flips. If any OU fans are watching this and you're not excited about that kid, I mean, you heard Coach Dodge talk about it. That he's probably the guy who's going to bring Brent Venable's program back.
Yeah.
I mean, is that safe to say, or am I just a little too
no
going ahead of myself?
Well, I just think that he's going to be a fantastic college football player, and I think the system that he's playing in right now at Denton Guyer is very similar to the system that he's going to play in at Oklahoma. Matter of fact, I know that it is because I know Denton Guyer, having played against them last year and preparing for them, their offense is basically patterned after the Art Briles offense.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and the offensive coordinator, Jeff Levy, at Oklahoma, they run, the Art Briles offense because Jeff Levy coached for Art, and Jeff is Art's son-in-law. And so I saw Jeff the other day. He was just, grinning from ear to ear after that game. I mean, the kid is, and we knew it. Like, he played well against us in the state championship game last year, and we kind of overwhelmed him in the second half. But and then I saw him. I went out to the Elite 11 this past summer, and watched him compete. And he won the dang thing. He did the same thing Cade had done the year before. He goes out to the Elite 11, wins it. He's now. I mean, it's in 6A Division II. I think that Denton Guyer, I've seen him play. Katie played against him last year. Vandegrift played them last year. Don't know DeSoto, just know. But I would say right now that Denton Guyer is definitely a favorite to win out of those four teams.
I would agree
because of him, and then he got some fabulous defensive backs and skill position players.
God, it's amazing to think of the talent and football development at those schools, those three schools in Denton. You know,
Yeah.
Ryan, Denton High, and then of course Geyer. But man, what an impressive job by these Austin area programs. You know, Westlake going for 55 and 56 consecutive wins. At Vandegrift, Coach Sanders, and of course, the family there at Liberty Hill, what they've done before they add a second high school, and then of Coach Warren at Wimberley. Now, Dripping Springs could have easily been in this game. You know, Austin Novosad going to Baylor. Those Vandegrift and Dripping are mirror images of one another for the most part, except the offensive side. And you hate to see a team lose at the goal line like that with that fumble, but it's just how you play the game, and it's heartbreaking. It really is.
Well, I was very interested in that game because I went to watch Westlake play Dripping Springs earlier in the year and was so impressed with Dripping Springs and knew that Austin would be good. And, you know, frankly, I tell you, probably the most impressive thing to me coming out of that game, Westlake versus Dripping Springs, was how Austin Novosad rebounded from that fourth quarter. I mean, the Westlake defense got after him and his offense, and I think forced 3 or 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter, and that was the difference in the game. And he comes back next week and clears his head and leads his team to a huge win over Lake Travis, who is no doubt their bigger rival.
Correct.
You know? And but I think you're right, Clinch, about Drip and Vandegrift are very, very similar. Just the type of players that they have, the production that they have at quarterback, the production they have from their running back, the production they have from their defensive line. I mean, they're just very, very similar.
Uncharacteristic play, meaning an error like that, a fumble. And I hope Austin Novosad or anyone involved in that play doesn't carry that with them and beat themselves up, because that could happen to anybody, and that's just the game of football. I mean, what do you tell a kid like that?
Oh, first of all, you tell them. I mean, when you're in the arena, and first of all, we wouldn't even have been on that goal line, having an opportunity to score if it wouldn't be for you, son. No way would we even be there. We wouldn't even be in this game if it wasn't for you. So remind them of that. And then, you know, in life, you know, don't be afraid to be that guy that's in the arena, you know.
Yeah.
There's those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat that are on Twitter that are, you know, that are always, you know, are the people that are on, you know, websites or whatever, I don't know, talk stuff that are going to criticize a coach or a player. Don't worry about that. Keep getting in the arena, you know, and those are the things that I've told kids through the years, you know. He'll know that being a quarterback, he gets way too much blame and way too much credit when Dripping Springs won this year. Of course, I think they only lost 2 times the whole year.
That's it. And that's one thing that you know, I hate about sometimes with social media, especially coaches it doesn't bother them, but people are quick to criticize before looking in the mirror,
right?
Or not having had that experience. And in this case, Dripping Springs could easily be a team that could be playing not only in the semifinals, but could be playing for that state championship in that manner.
Well, I just think, you know, Austin area football, you know, and you've been around here, Clinch, and you've covered it, and it is amazing how it's grown in the last 10 years. I mean, when I got to Westlake, you know, I had been around Westlake back in the 90s when Westlake was the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like no one to compete with Westlake during that time when they hit 5A, 6A. And then all of a sudden, there's this place called Lake Travis that starts to grow in the early 2000s and through the mid, you know, and they'll go on their run. Hell, I get to Westlake, and I've got this guerrilla over, to the west of us that is just kicking ass and taking names, and I don't know how to slow it down because our dang fan base is just losing their mind. And the first thing we had to do at Westlake was get control of what Lake Travis was, and I think that it took us a while, but I think we were able to do that. And then the next thing you have to do is I always used to tell our players, I said, now Lake Travis, it wasn't on our watch, but someone here at Westlake let them get going and it probably disrespected them back in the 2003, 4, 5 range, 6, 7 range. Probably like, they'll never be anything. And all of a sudden, boom, they're beating you, and they beat Westlake 8 years in a row. Well, I told our players, I said, we really have nothing to do with that. Now it's our problem. Now we have to deal with it, and we were able to get it, back, in our favor over the last probably 3 or 4 years. But I told the players, I said, Vandegrift is on your watch.
That's the truth.
And Vandegrift, but you really, Lake Travis has made Westlake so much better. I think Westlake has made Lake Travis better. Vandegrift has made Westlake better. I think we probably have made them better because they're Dripping Springs now has made Vandegrift and Lake Travis and Westlake. So I'm not trying to take anything away from other places.
Right.
But there are 4 teams in the greater Austin area, 6A in the highest classification now that, Lake Travis was about to be in the regional final game, and then obviously Dripping Springs and Vandegrift were in the regional final. You were pretty close away from having an all Austin Division I and Division II regional final. That would be a heck of a deal, wouldn't it?
No, that would be fun. And to your point about Lake Travis, this was clearly somewhat of a rebuilding year for Lake Travis, but for that rebuilding year to almost be a regional final, that speaks to everything you just said. And I don't know what's more impressive, that Dripping Springs, this is the year that Coach Zimmerman they were shooting for, and they've done a fabulous job. Or is it Vandegrift, who's in a multi-school district in Leander ISD, what they've been able to do? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it them, Lake Travis, or Dripping Springs, which is more impressive this year? I don't know. What's the better story there?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to say Dripping Springs their first year in 6A. Just not going into it. They lost their last game of 5A. They got waxed by Georgetown in the playoffs. And then they come back and they play Vandegrift, who is a regional finalist team the year before. Of course, they got beat pretty bad in the regional final, but they were a 11-2 team the year before in 6A, and they beat them the first 6A game they played. So, and then roll on, and so I think now it'll be interesting to see if they can sustain at Dripping Springs from a quarterback standpoint. Because when it all comes down to it, all of these teams, but they've all found out at times you can have great defensive line play. You can have, but if you don't have a quarterback, you're going to have a hard time making deep runs. And as watching Lake Travis, I thought Hank did such a fabulous job this year coaching that team and keeping that team together. And they lost a 15-game starter from the jump.
Early.
One of my favorite players now to watch in the greater Austin area is Caden Leon.
Yeah.
But bless his heart, and Lake Travis, I'm sure they would have rather him playing wide receiver, rather than quarterback, because that's just the way it is. But I tell you this though, I'm very excited and very proud of Austin area football because it doesn't take a backseat to anybody.
Not anymore.
There were times in greater, Dallas Fort Worth area, the greater Houston area, San Antonio area. There's really 4 areas: DFW, Dallas, DFW, greater Houston, San Antonio, and Austin. And you just do the math.
Just in the last 5 years.
The Austin area it at times has dominated. And there's been a lot of semifinal trips by all those teams that you just showed on your presentation a minute ago. There's been quite a few trips to the Final Four, and you had mentioned earlier about health. The one thing about all of these teams, and the one thing I told our team, that an unhealthy football team will win the state championship.
It's all impressive, and to your point about having a quarterback, the quality of quarterback in the Austin area has improved, and you've played a significant role in that. And to your point as well, you have been able, when you look back at all of your successful teams, including the state championships, where all of you been, you've had great quarterback play. And I want to bring up this photo. Count it, 7 state championships. I want to call it your state championship brotherhood.
Yeah.
Are these? I see familiar faces. I see Tony Salazar. And again, I want to make a point, not to slight Westlake at all. And you were mentioning San Antonio. That win over Brennan, I want people to know who are not sure, that team out of San Antonio, Brennan, was as good or quality of a program this year than most teams in the postseason.
Yep.
And Westlake handled them.
Yep. That picture is what a great picture. I don't know that I've even seen this picture. Going from it's a conglomeration of coaches from Westlake and South Lake Carroll. You got Boomer Collins, you got Jack Rhodes, you got me, you got Tim Erline, you got Tony, Jason Jones. Then all the guys across the top are all. Oh, on the very far right, you've got Clayton George, who was my offensive coordinator at one point, and my wide receiver coach at South Lake Carroll. Then you got Todd Ford, who also, and after he was the offensive coordinator, wide receiver coach after him.
Great guy.
Kirk Rogers on top. Just fun times.
I love the photo and the fact that somebody brought all 7 of those state championship plaques. That's priceless. It
really is. Yeah,
really is hard to have that many men or individuals tied to together who played a significant role in those state championships. One thing that we'll stay on track with your quarterbacks, but Cade Klubnik is your next great quarterback who is starting to get his footing in at the highest level of college football. He came in late in that ACC title game against Mack Brown in North Carolina, and really he helped win that game for Clemson. And,
oh my God,
it's unreal.
I can't tell you how much fun Saturday night was for us. So Riley's game is over at Justin Northwest. They just got beat by Geyer. We hugged them all up. Elizabeth and I take off, and we go to the hotel we're staying at. My daughter Molly and her husband Weston and my new grandson Warren, they all come to the hotel. And so we're going to watch TV and eat and, sit in the sports bar. And about an hour and a half before kickoff, I look at my phone and Cade has texted me earlier while he's sitting in the locker room. He goes, this is on the down low, but I'm playing the third series of this game. And so all of a sudden now I'm fired up, and now I'm engaged because we had planned on watching Clemson game, and I wasn't really that fired up about it, and all of a sudden now, so we're sitting in there and he plays the third series, and of course, boom, they score in the first three series he's in. He gets the MVP of the game, so proud of him. And I texted him later, and one of the things I told him, I said, thing I'm most impressed with you is that your body language was elite, in these other games that he's played. And you have to get this out of the way as a college quarterback. You have to get that out of the way when you play and they put you at the end of the game and you look like the deer in the headlight look, and you look a little bit like bless his heart, like the kid from Denton Geyer, looked Jackson Arnold when he was a freshman.
Yeah,
and he's shaking and his hair's in his eyes, and you look all, and then all of a sudden, now they start to grow up, and their eyes are up and they're alert, and that's what I was telling him. I said the thing that was most impressive to me about Cade the other night is his body language. I mean, he looked in complete command, and his body language was elite.
Yeah, it was impressive, and it was a great day overall. That conference championship Saturday, to me, is on the same level as March Madness. To me, it is.
Well, I tell you what, this year, it was a lot of – I mean, that final weekend had – I mean, who would have thought, that, how it would happen? Off the subject a little bit, I'm so glad that TCU didn't get screwed out of their spot.
Oh, God, that was emotional for them.
I was having a couple of chilly ones with some TCU fans watching the Clemson game, and they were all just going, "We're gonna get screwed. We're gonna get screwed." And then I said, "No, y'all be all right. Y'all be all right." And of course, you don't find out till the next morning or whatever,
Max Duggan's reaction when the playoff reveal, when they came across as the 3 seed. That look on his face said it all. He didn't have to say anything.
I tell you what, not name dropping or anything, but I got a chance to talk to Garrett Riley today, who was named the Broyles, assistant of the year.
That's a big time award.
Big time award. And so, and I told him, I said, you did an unbelievable job of taking a really good player and helping him get to play like a really great player this year. And that was, I mean, I'm really a fan of what Sonny and those guys are doing.
I've enjoyed it. They look loose.
I mean, it's good for the state of Texas. It really is. I mean, I didn't root for him against the Horns, but every other game I'm going to root for him.
He's hard not to like.
No.
Sonny.
I mean, Sonny's a great guy, and of course, I knew his daddy probably better than I know Sonny. I knew Spike really well, and but that Duggan kid, he's a coach's kid. There's always a special place in my heart for a high school coach's kid, and it doesn't surprise me that he plays with the grit, and just determination he plays with, because he's probably been a Fieldhouse rat his entire life.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. He tried to will that team to victory when Kansas State went up on them, and it was, I mean, there was no stopping him. I remember when we saw him running down that sideline. I mean, that is when a guy just flips a switch and said, "I'm taking over." That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Now your guy that not a lot of people talking about it, but they should. Your fellow Texas High School Coach Association, brother Jeff Traylor.
Mm-hmm.
What, in my opinion, not because he's an SFA guy, not because he had so much success at Gilmer High School, but what he's done at UTSA, to me, is nothing short of not miraculous, but unbelievable, because he's doing it the right way, and he knows what he's doing when he's marketing the fact that he is a Texas high school coach for life. What's your opinion of what he's done?
Well, first of all, it's a brotherhood. I mean, Texas high school coaches, we compete against each other. We bang our heads against each other. But we're so proud of each other. It's just like having, and when one gets out there and makes a difference at the next level, we all take a lot of pride in it. And Jeff did it the way it ought to be done. As he started, I mean, he had a resume to get to the University of Texas.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things is he was the Pied Piper in the area of East Texas. Hell, I mean, whichever one of those guys hired him was smart to hire him because he could make an inroad back into East Texas. Well, he goes to UT, does that. Then he goes to SMU. Then he goes to Arkansas. Next thing you know, he's the head coach of UTSA. But what Jeff did along the way is Jeff learned how to be a Division I head coach over about a 5 or 6 year period, and wasn't thrust right into it. And now he's, so I'm a big fan of Jeff Traylor. He's one of those guys that, one of the things I think the transfer portal, as we found out yesterday. Wow, that's bizarro world. 2,000 or something like that. Kids go into. Well, I'll just say this: it is what it is. Every coach is going to have to deal with it on one end or the other. And there's some examples right now of some people using it big time their advantage. And there's also some examples of it hurting someone where a bunch of them left and they didn't get so much back in return.
Right.
Well, to me, Jeff is in a great position because he's trusted by Texas high school coaches. Yeah. And when these kids from Texas go off to outside the state of Texas, and within a year they're ready to get themselves in that portal, well, who's going to call Jeff Traylor? Mamas, daddies, and head football coaches from high school football in the great state of Texas. They're going to call Jeff Traylor and go, hey, this kid, and it's just that's going to be, I think, a part of what's going to continue to sustain UTSA.
It's a great point. And he was asked yesterday when the final college football playoff rankings were revealed, and it showed UTSA at number 25. Keep in mind, that's back-to-back Conference USA championships, having to win a championship game and having double-digit win totals both seasons. And instead of him saying, oh, this is great and all, it's a much bigger picture for him.
We've got a long ways to go here, and we want to get there now. And we have to expedite our learning curve. And from paying assistant coaches to NIL money to facilities, we've got to get some stuff done. I know how much everybody's enjoying this, and I am too. But this stuff just gets harder in the competition, and people are coming for our coaches, people are coming for our players, and we got to do our best to hold on to our players and our coaches. And it's going to take an investment by a lot of people.
And that's exactly what you said. I mean, people are going to cherry pick other people's programs regardless of
no doubt.
And so how do you do that? I mean, San Antonio is the 9th largest city in the country. It's more a high school and NBA city. He's still, I mean, don't get me wrong, the crowds have been pretty good there at the Alamo Dome, but can he not? It's nothing against him. I think he's done a phenomenal job marketing that program. What needs to be done to create what he wants? Because he's doing all the right things.
I think he's going to get it done. It's interesting you brought up this topic. I had an opportunity 3 weeks ago to speak at the San Antonio Quarterback Club. Yeah. I was invited to be their speaker for their bi-monthly meeting. And I just got the feel, and I promise you, the average age in there, and they got some great young leadership, but the average age in there was like 72.
Yeah.
And so I promise you, none of these men graduated from UTSA. It didn't exist.
Right. No.
And that's that's kind of the problem from an alumni base. Locally, you don't have it. But one of the things I found out about San Antonio over the last 5 or 6 years because we've competed and been in San Antonio because we've been in Region 4. San Antonio is an extremely proud town.
Yeah.
And people who are from San Antonio, they tend to go back to San Antonio. And I can tell you right now, what I heard that day, because his brother Kirk came and spoke. He was a UTSA coach that came and spoke that week. They're very well received. And everybody loves a winner.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt.
Well, you know what? The guy he's brought, they can start counting off other major towns what the UTSA program has brought to the city of San Antonio. So I can tell you what, I do know that Jeff, his gift is rallying people. Jeff I don't think he's ever been the play caller offensively or defensively. I don't know if he has or not, but I can tell you one thing. I think he'll be able to raise some money.
Yeah. I see it coming. He has a long-term commitment in the form of a contract, but you and I both know that in addition to coming after his assistants and his players, there's other programs coming after him every year.
And no doubt. But the thing about it is he's winning. And frankly, I bet his quality of life is pretty stinking good right now.
In San Antonio?
Yeah.
Absolutely it is.
And, it's kind of one of those deals. I don't really want to go to – I'm just making this up. I really don't want to go to Cincinnati, Ohio, or whatever. Hell, it's cold up there.
I don't want anything below 70.
I'd love for someone to, why don't y'all pay me to stay here? So.
Let's do it. Why don't we become what Cincinnati is?
Well,
why not?
I can tell you right now, UTSA has done a great job, and it can happen. It's happened in a hurry, and just the recruiting base that they have, the state of Texas, and then I don't know how many he has, but I do know that a whole lot of these transfers that are coming back, they're ones that their high school coach told them, listen, you're not happy in Florida or in Alabama or wherever. Get your ass back to Texas. I know a guy that's going to take care of you. Him and his staff going to take care of you. Well, how do you know it? Because he's a Texas high school football coach, and he's going to treat kids the right way. Get your tail over there, blah, blah, blah.
And he'll and compete and win games.
No, let's all call it what it is. You take NIL, you take all this other stuff, you can take transfer portal, all this other stuff. It's all about winning. Someone wants to go somewhere where they can win. And it's very obvious if someone's going somewhere just to get a paycheck. And unfortunately, there's probably some of that going on too. But your ability to win.
That's winning breeds winning, and it is a magnet.
Yeah.
Speaking of NIL, I know this guy, Bijan Robinson, he does it the right way. I know he receives a ton of NIL type of deals, but for this guy not to be a Heisman finalist, there's something wrong with that.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Those are the Heisman finalists. All of them are deserving. I get it, but they're all quarterbacks, and you've got the most dynamic player in the country, in my opinion. Somebody else will probably disagree with me, and I get it. He didn't have a good game against TCU. I get it, but how would you describe him not being a finalist? Am I wrong to think that he should be there?
Well, the argument about he didn't have a good game against TCU, hell, I could go pick a game from all of those. I don't know about Stetson Bennett, but C.J. Stroud and Max Duggan. Hell, I'm a huge Max Duggan fan. And then Caleb Williams, I could pick. Caleb Williams didn't have a very good game against Utah.
Twice.
Yeah. And so, there's been 5 that have gone before. I don't know. I don't know that I would have ever taken one of those and replaced him. I would have a hard time doing that. But yeah, he definitely, to me, deserved a trip to New York City.
It's a shame, and it's not me being a fan who loves Texas Longhorn football. I'm just a overall advocate for the greater health of college football, and this is not a good move on that part at all.
No, I think he's definitely worthy.
It is. Since we are getting closer, and this whole month is, to me, I know Christmas Day is the 25th, but as soon as Thanksgiving hit, as you mentioned, when you guys put up your tree before Thanksgiving, man, this is a special time because Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase is on at least 24 times this month. And I know we have our I don't know when it started for us, but there's the texted one-liners, everything. Yep. You going to save the neck for me, Clark? Cousin Eddie.
Yeah. I don't know if I get this right, but the one that just always is when they're in the store and they're making the list and he's throwing dog food on top of the cart. And he says, Clark, I want you to get something really nice for yourself also.
And he's buying
it. On your own money.
On your own dime. Yeah. There's like 50-pound bags of dog food.
He's throwing that dog food on top. Get yourself something real nice.
He asked them, Clark asked Cousin Eddie, well, do you have a list for your kids? We want to provide them a good Christmas. And he goes, oh, no, you really shouldn't have, and whips out a list this long.
Yeah. That's what it was, yeah.
What did he say? He's drinking the eggnog out of the Marty the Moose.
Yeah.
And he says, what did he say? If you tied your face to the carpet and I'll leave you for dead, something like that. That was, Oh my God. Well, we're definitely, there's going to be some texting conversations here real soon.
People don't realize you and I, it's been going on for a betterment of 10 years now. At this time, I always look forward to this. I mean, for those of you who may be listening to this, I have texted Clinch probably 30 minutes before kickoff of a semifinal football game when I just didn't have nothing better to do.
Hey,
about Christmas Vacation.
It was before North Shore at NRG one time.
Listen to the Isley brothers and thinking about Christmas Vacation.
You stay loose, you coach better, and you play loose. That's what it's all about.
Right. That's exactly right.
Man,
I love where your head's at.
I love that. And you know what? We're going to try to do this one more time before Christmas, but happy holidays and Merry Christmas to the Dodges and the extended family, that being Weston and Riley's family as well.
Right. Weston, Molly, Riley, Alexis, got Tate, Landry, Blakely, and the newest one, Warren Kinsler Dodge, or Warren Dodge Kinsler, WDK.
I love it.
So, yeah. So
family's
growing.
Man, for TD and his amazing family and his coaching fraternity and his quarterback tree, and for the OG Man Cave boys, that being Hardball Hards, Big Mike, and the Coach Mo. We out.
Hook 'em.